All
Andy, how
right.
you doing, brother?
What's up, Coach?
we got Coach Perez here talking to Andy. We're recording right now. We're live, and Coach Perez of Reading High. I was writing up the stuff tonight, Coach, about what we're going to talk about a little bit. I put a little blurb up in front of each of the coaches we talked to, and again, Andy and I cover the LL, but we also cover District 3, and we've gotten to know you and your team pretty well here in the last couple of years. So what I'd like to do to start tonight, Coach, if you could just give us your coaching background and kind of the background of where you've been for our LL guys. I know everybody in Berks knows all about Reading and Coach, so maybe too much, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, for me, that's all about I know, is Reading High School. So, I've been there since 2002. It's an amazing place. I always say Reading has raised me, and I got to Coach Reyes and Coach Ellison and Coach Golden, who were there originally. They brought me on, and they brought me on as a knucklehead, 20-year-old, and really just showed me the ropes. And then here we are today. Prior to that, I attended Muhlenberg. I ended up graduating. I played basketball at Wilson. Ended up graduating from there. I ended up going to Westchester, played a season over there. Ran into some issues. Ended up transferring over to Kutztown. Didn't play there. Graduated from there. But right when I enrolled in Kutztown, right around that time, is when I began at Reading. So, and I think the most important thing was coaching at the Olivets during that time. It was you were dealing. It was the nitty gritty. Getting kids out there. They just wanted to get better, and we had some of the hardest practices and runs ever. Still to this day, I don't know if I can duplicate what we did then. But yet I wasn't as politically correct as I am now.
I gotta love that. Hey, we got Bruce with us. We got Andy here with us. So I'm going to turn the questions over to them. But I sit here. I come from a coaching point of view, and I kind of pop in every once in a while and say, "Hey, Coach, give me this from the coach's point of view." And I might do that, but I'd like to turn it over to them. We'll start with Bruce here tonight. Okay, Bruce, your show, buddy.
Coach, 20-8 this season, 7-3 in the league. What would you consider to be the highlights of this season for you?
Oh, we had 5 sophomores and 3 juniors playing. So their growth. I mean, you get to see it in leaps and bounds.
Right.
We didn't have a senior class where you can say, hey, he's a nice sophomore and he can play, but you got a senior there to kind of mask him and get him out the game when he's struggling. These guys had to go through it. And what a place to go through it. But at Reading High, you're going to learn quick. So I think their growth, they started peaking at the right moments. If you take Wilson out the way, we had a heck of a season.
Yeah. Your only league loss was Governor Mifflin, and boy, the Section 1 of the Berks League. That was so much fun for me to cover this year. But, when you were talking about your team and the maturation process, I'll tell you what, I was so impressed with the team, especially that Central York game. On the road, really could have let it got away. And, boy, they just showed toughness. They just showed that will to win. And, how do you get that instilled in your team?
Well, first of all, we're lucky because our young men, they come with it already. It's prepackaged. Now, how we unveil it, how they bring it, to the surface, that's the critical piece, and it's just the day-to-day consistency. They have to understand that this is the level we're going to play at every day. This is the level of commitment and love you're going to have for one another on a daily basis, and it's just difficult because, especially in this day and age, a lot of relationships, they're wishy-washy, and, we're going to dig deep. We're going to peel the onion, as far as we can possibly go. And what happens with that, it's they tend to get emotional, and sometimes they don't know how to use those emotions correctly. So for us, we're lucky. This is our 6th year now with a sports psychologist and, Dr. Neff, and he really helps us piece those things together so they can utilize them. But at first, you kind of lose your kids for a little bit because they're fearful. You're like, oh my goodness, what is this? You know, and they don't know how to really capitalize on those things. But when they learn to play at that level and they finally get it, man, it just the basketball becomes it's something totally different, you know. And I love watching that entire process.
Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, Coach. Something that stuck out to me when, you know, we were just becoming familiar with one another was kind of the way that you want to use this platform of basketball for the guys in your program to really be a beacon of light in some way, shape, or form for the city themselves. And to tie this back to Dell's comment in the intro, obviously we come from an LL background, but I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Ramos the summer that he got the job at McCaskey, and we had a 15, 20-minute conversation, and it sounded exactly like I was talking to Rick Perez, like the way he envisioned that program kind of becoming, you know, the light in the city and some, you know, wishy-washy thing like you said. But I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, he said he wanted to bring in, you know, business professionals that graduated from the school and just, you know, give them a bigger platform for, you know, when their playing career is over and different avenues to approach. I was just kind of curious. I know you're hyper concentrated on, you know, Muhlenberg and Wilson and Mifflin and those schools, but being a big school guy, how much do you pay attention during the season to McCaskey, York, Harrisburg, Chester, Williamsport, Coatesville, like all those schools that are kind of in your position that you guys are at Reading High?
Well, you know, I do, you know, particularly when I visit their gyms, when I'm talking to their coaches. You know, it's very difficult, you know, there's a lot of things I have to worry about with Reading High School, so you won't catch me in many people's business. But, you know, I always go in and I watch the way the young men are representing themselves. I always watch how the coaches, how our conversations go. You know, I always look at the gym. You know, you can tell when a gym is on the up and up or when it's deteriorating. And, you know, you can kind of see in the team's level of play. And I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about how hard they're playing, you know, their engagement with the community. So those are things that I really look at, you know, when I'm gauging a program, you know, and what direction that they're heading, you know. But, you know, when I look at Coach Ramos, they're you know, McCaskey's going to be on the up and up. I mean, they play extremely hard, you know, and those kids take a lot of pride in themselves. And you can see the community, when your community starts to back in, starts getting, you know, it starts, anything can happen. You know, that's the beautiful thing. Anything can happen. But you won't catch me analyzing too many people's programs, you know, outside of when I get on the bus or off the bus. And I'm out of there, it's back to focusing on Reading High.
You know, it's very interesting. All the schools that Andy mentioned there, I think, are on your schedule. I mean, you never back down from a challenge, Rick, do you?
No. And it's funny because, you know, Coach Carrill, we get to see him on a yearly basis. We didn't see him this year, but we'll take the team to Princeton. They get to meet him. He gives us some amazing advice. You know, I think he can take the credit for, you know, in our state championship year. And he told those guys, he said, who's supposed to shoot the three-pointers? And, of course, Nesby raised his hand. Walker raised his hand. You know, Cook raised their hand. And he said, shoot them. Keep shooting them, you know. And it's, you know, I for me, you know, I like to punch the ball inside, and all of a sudden here go these threes. As soon as we left Princeton, pew, pew, you know, and it just, but he said to me before, you know, Rick, why do you do this to yourself? You know, he said, you know, you play the easy games, win some easy games, you know, gain some momentum, and then win at the end. I was like, I don't know, Coach, I can't do that. You know, so, but I mean, and this schedule was set way before, you know, before I got there, but we just wanted to methodically, you know, put it in place. And there were some teams we were playing that, you know, you don't need to play a 4A state powerhouse. You know, you don't need to do those things. You kind of just want to get a gist for what District 1 and District 12 look like, because those are the people you're going to have to go through eventually. So, you know, we might as well learn now, you know. You take your lumps in December, get over it, lick your wounds, you know, gain your momentum in January and February, and then let's play.
Hey, Coach Carrill. I met him when I was at Bill Foster's and Harry Litwack's camp in the Pocono All-Stars. He would come in and he'd have his shorts on and he'd be reading the Wall Street Journal and he'd have a big old cigar there. Does he still carry a cigar around?
No cigar for him now.
All right, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I couldn't help it. So.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, but no cigar for him.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, the other thing, Coach, that we always kind of laugh about doing these interviews is how I always have the swag of whatever school we're talking to that night. So I apologize in advance. I don't have any Reading High gear, but I can maybe help you out. Can we get that? Got a little Adidas going on.
Adidas. All right. Well, there we go. Good. I got mine on. I got mine on too.
Here's my question.
Yeah, we all got the Adidas going on.
There it is.
Here's my question. So obviously a partnership with a big company like Adidas, that's something that even, well-to-do schools really don't have. I'm just kind of curious, how did that relationship come about with Adidas? And I mean, I fully believe in the look good, play good, feel good, all that type of stuff too. And, kids love their swag. So how did that come about? And what kind of an advantage is that for them to outfit you with shoes or swag or, whatever the case may be? Because I know Harrisburg has they're living the three-stripe life as well.
Yeah. Well, we're very, we have to be thankful and we're blessed to have our Squires Club, so our Squires Club is our boosters club, which started with Dr. Goodhart and Mrs. Goodhart. Dr. Goodhart was he's a retired superintendent at Reading School District. And, he's a huge Reading High basketball fan. So when I came on, he's been mentoring me since day one. And, he and his wife had started the Squires Club. So the big thing for us was, first of all, making sure our guys get fed on a regular basis, because we practice in the evening every day. So our guys, it's a very long day and they don't leave. They don't have the luxury to drive the car home and come, they stay at the school. So getting them fed. And then, we wanted to make sure that our brand, we wanted to brand Reading High School, we wanted to be the best, period. So they joke with me because they hate when a line item comes out for the apparel. But, originally we were with Nike. And then, we saw there was 2 alumni. Obviously, most notably is Lonnie, who went to this. And then Eric Wise, who was also a football player from the 90s, good friend of mine. He's high up on the Adidas platform. So what happened, it just makes sense, man. We're loyal, we're all about loyalty and family. So we're like, listen, we'll buy in, we're in. And then, so it's awesome. It's trendy. I love it. It challenges us to stay in shape. I don't know if you take notes, but every single one of our coaches who's joining staff has, gotten themselves into good shape. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And if you're wearing Adidas, you don't have much room for error, so you better shed that weight. So.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You talk about being in shape. I mean, we've been going back and forth here a little bit about, working out at home or whatever like that. But I always marvel at your game day tradition of going out. How many miles do you run before a game?
It depends. The bigger the opponent, the more the miles. Yeah, and it's just random. I can't sit there anymore. I can't take it. I can't wait. There's only so much stirring, So, the game could be an hour away and I'm gone, man. I'll take off as long as I, can. And but try to get about 3 miles in before the game. That's usually the second run of the day. But I can't sit around. I just, so I'll go out there. I'll play my church music. I have some conversation with God while I'm running, and I come back. And either he tells me, Rick, you're going to win or you're going to lose. It didn't matter what you did on that run. So
that is probably the most one of the most intriguing pregame rituals is that you go out for a 2 or 3 mile run. I mean, but I guess that keeps you calm. When the game starts there, you don't have so much pent up energy, I guess, huh?
So McCaskey, Andy, is pretty easy. Now they were okay because they allowed me in their weight room before the game. I appreciated that.
There you go.
Yep. But before, I will go to rival gyms and I will sneak into a spot. I don't know if they know I'm there, but I will sneak in somewhere and get a workout in if I can. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to interject here because I got to sit right beside you guys 2 years ago when you were up at McCaskey. And I don't know what that run's doing, but it's not taking any of your energy away, dude. I'm telling you, you got more fire in your pants than I've seen in a long, long time. That's just me. Hey, let me get into Lonnie just a little bit. I don't like going backwards, but he's such a force basically for Reading High and District 3 and even the PIAA. So Mike, I got two little questions here. The first one is, it's like when he was coming up through the program, did you know that he was going to be such a special player? That's number one. And then number two is, how do you guys handle recruiting of a big-time D1 athlete?
Well, I mean, you know, with Lonnie, I didn't know what an NBA player looks like. And a very good friend of mine, his name is Kevin Driscoll, he was at Holy Cross at the time, and he's at Marist now. And he said to me, you know, he's a pro. And I said, yeah, get the hell out of here. He ain't no pro. What does that look like? So at Holy Cross, he says, I'm going to be the first one to offer him. So here it is, this ninth grader. He offers him, you know, and it was good because I had, you know, Kevin to really help me through that process. He said, look, Rick, this is going to get out of control for you, just so you know. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, you know, Lonnie is so humble. It was trying to help him because he, you know, his father is strong, present, helping him through this process. But for him is helping him to manage everything. Okay, there was a lot, and you know, you really had to help him, you know, embrace who he was, because he didn't. It's kind of like he didn't want it. You know, he just wanted to be, you know, like everyone else. I said, sorry, buddy, you're not, you know. And so helping him through that process. And what happened was he took hold of it. The recruiting process never dominated. You know, we didn't care who was in the gym. We were going to be us. We were going to have fun. You know, Lonnie didn't cater to anybody. You know, he was the way he built those relationships. I mean, you see, John Calipari was with him at the barbershop. You know, Miami was with him doing yoga and Bikram yoga for 90 minutes, hot and sweating, you know. So he didn't stop, you know, he didn't leave his teammates. So I applaud him, you know, in the way that he handled that. You know, and a funny story, so one time Fran Dunphy's in the gym, and we have some of the oddest playlists. We're not allowed to listen to rap in practice. We have to listen to fun music, things that, you know, really get you going. So this one song comes on, okay, and everyone on the team just stops practice and starts dancing in the most retarded manner. Here's Fran Dunphy sitting in the corner, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, what is going on here? This is what I drove down here for, really? and it's not just the players. The coaches go, you know, everybody's losing. I looked over at him and said, sorry, coach, this is what we do, you know. But, you know, he never lost his personality in it. He never, you know, he was him. And that's what they got from the beginning. So just helping him, you know, just helping him balance everything. Because it's made, you know, and let me tell you something about these kids. You know, they go to school every Thursday night. You're in the spring, you're flying out, okay, somewhere major. You're not getting back till Monday morning, Sunday night. You know, you're expected to stay up on your academics. You know, teachers are asking you to speak, but yet again, they expect you to still have the time to study and do your homework, you know, and he ate it up, man. He did it so gracefully. So, you know.
That's awesome. I'll turn it back to you, Bruce. Thank you, Coach.
You know, Rick, some of the challenges, you know, in the Berks League are going to be pretty tremendous moving forward. I mean, for you, what do you envision, you know, Berks basketball, you know, next year with the realignment? You've got, you know, Berks Catholic coming up to Section 1 for you, Muhlenberg dropping down. How do you envision next year with this whole new alignment?
Well, I liked the way that it was, but that's fine. We've been through this before. We've been at the 4 divisions before. Muhlenberg's beginning to peak, so it'll be unfortunate to lose them. But I'll tell you, I like Exeter's going to take their lumps maybe for the next 2 or 3 years. But let me tell you something. Matt Ashcroft is the man.
Yeah.
I finished a game with 5 timeouts because I refused to call one, because every time he called one, he scored a point. So I said, I'm not calling. He's going to have to, they're going to have to, do this on the run, but I'm not giving him that opportunity. Kyle Conrad, he's an amazing coach. And what I like is everyone is a firm believer and excited in their philosophy and what they do. It's very, it's evident what they do. Muhlenberg, they like to shoot the 3. It's a high pace. It doesn't matter. They're going to win or lose on the 3. Wilson has that Princeton style offense that's been there, what they do for years. Matt Ashcroft, a whole lot of flare screens and down screens, and a whole lot of action he got going on. And in Governor Mifflin, the wheel action, and then you have Snip Esterly, who's the giant in Berks County. If we think for 1 second Berks Catholic is going to stay down much longer, we're wrong. So they'll be back. So I'll be very interested to see, when Berks Catholic starts to peak again and Exeter begins to peak. And I want to be part of that. I've always, I felt for Berks basketball. It was almost laughable, at some points,
yeah, tell me about it.
You're exiting early in districts. You're lucky to make state. If you do make state, you're a first round bounce, so listen, man, I'm a congratulator. I love it, but for me, I'm gonna be a fan for them until we step on the floor with them, and then go on the floor with them. We got to do what we got to do. So,
Andy, you have something else?
I do. Coach, your energy is just infectious. I mean, that's so obvious to anybody. And honestly, like I'm kind of psyched right now. I wish I could go play right now, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just wondering, you're such a young coach, but you've really kind of done it all already. I mean, you've won the section, you've won your county, you won states, you won Coach of the Year, you sent a kid to high major who went to the NBA, he was a McDonald's All-American. I'm just wondering, you're still operating at like 100 miles an hour. What keeps Rick Perez going at that 100-mile-an-hour rate and, keep wanting to climb more mountains when it seems to the naked eye you've already climbed them all?
It is God, Andy. It is for me. This is a calling, and I'll do it for as long as he wants me to, and I've been blessed to be here, or to be put here, like I said, 2002. So I've seen a lot, and when you're going to coach at Reading, it takes a whole nother level of emotion. It takes a whole nother level of commitment. Because, listen, man, I'll never forget being 15-15 and trotting into the state tournament. I mean, when we won down in Cumberland Valley. We had beat, I believe it was Chambersburg, and the tears from all of our kids at 15-15, to make states. And we should have beat Martin Luther King. And Jalen Branford, who's a 1,000-point scorer, just misses a layup right off the backboard. Here we are, the last seed to get in, and it just, for me, I just love the journey. I love the path that Reading High, and God has put for us. So if this is where I'm at, I'm gonna do it at 100%. And Reading High has done so much for myself, my family, and so many other people. I gotta go in, man. I have to.
What things, Coach, what things have you changed in the program? You've been there for 6 years, and I know all coaches, they kind of adapt and change. And I know you're a big Twitter guy, but I mean, what type of things do you look at and say, you know what, from where I was to where I am now, these are the good things that we've done?
Well, as coaches, we have learned to give more autonomy. I think as coaches, we came in and we thought we controlled so many situations. We tried to control. As coaches, man, you're a little overrated. You know what I mean? You just got to line the kids up. Once you get them lined up, you're good. Your job's, you just got to make sure they stay there. So I think we became a little more flexible, allowing them to do more things. Our planning has become much more efficient, in the way that we prep, the guys to play. And we're focusing on the whole person. So when you look at the whole person, they've got a sports psychologist. They engage in clergy on a weekly basis. The skill development, the weightlifting has become, we've always been, strong with the weights, but Coach Flowers has just evolved with the game. We were just meatheads before. And then, you got to get lucky and get some players. And when we got those players, you got to let them go, man. You got to let them go. But, I think for us, just letting go a little bit. We almost controlled every possession. I laugh, 4-hour practice plans, playbooks, 2 Excel sheets deep. It's not that, it's not that deep. So we have let go a lot.
Well, that's good.
What do you got, buddy?
Well, the last thing, Coach, what was one of the funniest moments you had with the team this year?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you that.
All right, well, tell us about the funniest moment that you can tell us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, locker room talk, man. Oh man, there's a boatload. Their goal, when we run out and we chest bump, their goal is always to knock me down. They got me this year.
They got you once this year, didn't they? I saw the Twitter, man. I saw it. It was great.
Yeah, but Dell, they cheated. You're not allowed to double team. Okay, it's supposed to be so they cheated.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So they were waiting. So another, it's funny, as I said, we had young guys playing. So, Daniel Alcantara, who had a heck of a season. The Wilson Boo crew in districts right before the half baits him into shooting an early 3. They give him the 5, 4, 3. So he shoots it, and Evan Timochenko ends up getting a layup on the other end. And it's funny because some people are so angry, and I'm hysterically laughing because he's running by the ref and says, "Are they allowed to do that?" And I say, "Yes, fool, they can do that." It's just those humble humility moments. So,
I think
the win at Central York. I tell you, the party we had in the locker room.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That to me was. I think the culmination. I mean, it was really good. You could see everything come together, and the way that those guys performed down the stretch. I mean, adversity in a very hostile environment. I mean, that was Wilson's only loss was at Central York. So, I mean, that was, no small feat. So a lot of kudos for that one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Andy,
about all I had, Del.
Anything else?
No, I'm good. This is another one of these good guys for all our hoops fans. I mean, this dude is 100. He keeps it that way. He's a hell of a coach, a hell of a guy. I mean, like I said before, I wish I could play for him. I don't have any eligibility left, but if I could, I'd like one game in that block R. Just one game.
You just need to adopt somebody about age 12. That's all.
Yeah,
send him to Reading High.
Yeah, and you got to last. They got to survive conditioning. Though playing for Reading High, surviving conditioning is not easy. So you got to get them prepped.
I think I want the playlist, Coach. The pregame playlist. So I can get excited before I go out and watch some teams.
Well, which one do you want? The 2000?
It don't matter. It don't matter. I mean, it's all about having fun.
Real quick, you're talking about playlists. I mean, Coach, what is it? The greatest hits of Motown? Because that's what Garden Spot goes with. I mean, I personally love that one. I mean, who doesn't want a little Temptations in layup lines?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. The first one was this long. Now it's about this big.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, that's good.
That's good.
Well, thank you for your time, Rick. It's a pleasure
seeing you.
Hope everybody stays safe.
Yes, likewise, fellas. All right, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was an honor being on today.
Thank you, man. We'll post it up a little bit later on, and I always enjoy watching your stuff. Sometimes I'm not going to respond to it, but it's to me it's people ask me about you sometimes, and they're like, "What's with this guy?" I said, "The dude is real." That's all I can say. He is real. I sat beside him in a game. I mean, that was an experience and a half. I'm there like, wow, that's pretty good. I'm going to sit here. Next time you come to McCaskey, I think you're coming this year. I'm going to ask for that seat again. So,
all right.
You know, I don't want to get run over by your assistant coaches, and I don't want to get bumped over, but it's all good. Hey,
and we'll make sure you guys have some Reading swag.
Oh,
okay.
Andy needs a swag. That's what he needs. So, all right, man. Hey, thanks a lot. We got like 2 minutes. I did want to say one thing. When Andy kind of contacted you early in some of your runs there, and then we saw you at Hershey against Harrisburg, and you guys had lost. And I remember Andy and I talked. I said, I'm going to go back here. We're going to listen, and then, we talked, and you were such a straight shooter, and you're like, our season is not over. I mean, it was so cool. You had already moved on. And I'm sure that was the lesson to the kids in the locker room. I mean, that was awesome. From my point of view, from a coach and from media, you stood there, you took the questions, and it's like, our season's not over. We got other goals. So I was super impressed with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a vital moment. I think if we win that game, I don't know if we win this thing.
I would agree. I would agree. Hey, thank you, everybody. We'll put this up tonight, and we'll continue doing the Zoom. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll work on that background for the next one next time. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
We'll see you, Rick. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Good night.